Hi everyone, Nick Kredikos of Nick's Seasonal Decor, and you're watching me on Hometalk. So here we have just a standard dry brick of floral foam, and you can pick this up at any local dollar store. You can order it in bulk online, or pick it up at any Michael's, Joann's, or Walmart. So we're just going to take one brick of floral foam. Here what we have is a ficus spray, and instead of cutting that into little pieces, I'm just going to trim the stem, keep it all connected. Take the stem, dip it in our glue skillet. So this is what the glue skillet looks like. I'm a huge fan of this. I've never used a glue gun since purchasing this, and I highly recommend it. So we're going to just take this piece and poke it into our brick of floral foam. And this is going to be the base of our swag. So as you can see, we have the longest piece shooting down the middle, and then we also have the two smaller pieces on the side. That's not going to be enough, so we are going to cut into a second piece of the ficus. Just snipping off a few stems. And whenever you trim stems, you guys, you always want to remove that little bit of excess stem as well. It just looks unsightly, and you definitely can see it on your finished product. Now what we can do is come back in with those few additional pieces and work them in. Now we have this filler bush that also contains smaller white flowers. So you always want to add little accent flowers to your designs. And often I come back in with the filler at the very end of the project. However, I feel for this project it's going to look best working in kind of a mixture and starting with some of our lighter products. That way the bulkier products don't, showcase too much. So we're going to take some of these now, dip them in our glue skillet, and work them in. And you can just kind of separate everything to your liking, make sure it looks nice. And now what we can do is either come back in with a bow or some of our tulips. So we're going to create loops of this 1.5 inch wired burlap ribbon, about 4 to 6 inches. We definitely want it to be stately enough that it shows up, but we don't want it to be, absolutely massive and also super duper full, because that'll just take away from the rest of the design. So that's what we're going to create. We're going to create one loop with 2 tails on either side, and then all we have to do is just repeat that process over and over again until we have our desired amount. So since we're not going for a super thick bow, I'm thinking between 3 and 5 loops total should be more than enough for this design. So now let's come back in with our final loop, and then we can cut off our ribbon, work in our pipe cleaner, and then dovetail. So dovetailing is another important aspect of bow making, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that in just 1 second. So snip off your final tail, grab a pipe cleaner. We're not working in any longer tails down below like we often do. For this design, we're going to mix it up a little bit. So to dovetail, we're going to take our ribbon tails, fold them in half, and then cut from the middle out to the wired edge on the outside. So just fold them in half and repeat that to every single tail. And that just adds a professional touch. See how much better the left side versus the right looks? So always do that. Another option is to cut at an angle, but I think for this bow, dovetailing is the way to go. So I'm going to do the rest of these tails, and then we can secure our bow. So all of the tails are dovetailed at this point. We're just going to take our wire snips, cut off the excess pipe cleaner, and we're actually going to be using my steel pick machine. So we're just going to take the end of that ribbon, or that pipe cleaner, place it into our pick machine. And if you don't have one of these, no issues. You can always just use a little bit of wire, or just, basically poke that pipe cleaner through the styrofoam. So then now that we have this, we can come back to our swag, dip this in our glue skillet, and place it up top. So I do want this rather high in the design because we are going to be adding tulips, and I don't want the tulips to be completely covered by this bow. So we'll give this a minute to harden up, and then we can fluff it. So now that we've cut our bush down, we can just start dipping them in our glue skillet. And this part's so satisfying, you guys, and you do want a generous amount, like I said, so don't skimp with that hot glue. So we're going to just start with some pieces around the side. As you can see, either side of this is looking a little sparse, so we do want to bulk that up so that we have that traditional teardrop effect. So we'll take another piece and place it here. And then we'll take a few more smaller pieces that we broke in half and do the same thing to the other side. And another piece there. And then we have 3 leaves left. Watch what I'm going to do with these, you guys. I'm going to pull them off, dip them in our glue skillet, and just work them into the bow. And in doing so, you kind of soften your bow as well. Like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come back in with some of our tulips and then decide if we need any more foliage. So now it's time to work in some tulips, and here we have kind of this combo set where some of these stems have 2, some of them have 3, and we're just going to snip them off. So the tulip foliage on this is foam, which I don't love to work with, but tulip foliage is so signature to the plant that, or the bulb, that we might decide to work in that. So we're going to just start off by kind of pulling it to see if it falls off. Sometimes these pieces fall off, like this one, and if it doesn't, we'll work it in, and if it does, we won't. So we'll just lift up and start working in some of these beautiful tulips. And as always, you can work in as many or as few, or substitute for another flower. So I'm thinking we'll place this one all the way down below so that we really extend. So we'll just take that stem, dip it in our hot glue, and poke it all the way down. That way it really brings out kind of the swag shape. So we've decided against working any of the tulip foliage in, but now it's time to create a hanger to hang this design. And that's probably the question you've been thinking about the most with this project. So we're just going to take a pipe cleaner. We're going to twist it secure, make sure it is secure on the end. And then we're going to use our pick machine. So I'm actually going to take the stem too and just bend it together. And then we have a little bit of a hanger. Feed a steel pick into your machine, secure it, and now we have a little anchor that we can secure to the foam. And you can cover this with moss, you can cover it with foliage, you can basically do whatever you like. I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to just take the hanger, I applied some hot glue on the top, and we're going to use that to secure it to our command strip on the wall. You can also use a typical wreath hanger or just a little kind of picture hook on your wall. So here's how our finished teardrop swag turned out, and that's what this technique is known as, because at the top it's a lot bulkier than down below, and it kind of simulates a teardrop. And as I always suggest, please use your own products that you have on hand or your own designer's twist. You know, whatever color matches your home, whatever style. If you don't like tulips, you can always substitute those for other flowers. Adding your own personal touch just makes these projects that much more fun. So thank you all so much for watching. This is Nick Kretikos of Nick's Seasonal Decor, and you're watching me on Hometalk. Bye, everyone.